While en route to their planned vacation destination, this family encountered a wounded fox and made a compassionate decision not to leave the animal behind. This act of kindness would end up playing a significant role in their journey. For most of the woman's childhood, she had enjoyed life in the countryside, where her family owned a cozy home by the village lake. However, her parents had sold the house upon retiring. Nevertheless, the memories of that picturesque landscape remained etched in her mind, and she often found herself reminiscing about that little house. After moving away from the village, the woman had married and started a family in the city. They had a daughter and hoped to expand their family in the future. But one warm summer, the woman felt a yearning for the simplicity and warmth that the city couldn't provide. She longed for the tranquility of the countryside. The woman and her husband decided to take a week off during the summer, and she immediately knew where they should go, back to her childhood village. The prospect of showing her favorite spots to her husband and daughter excited her. Packing their belongings didn't take long, and soon they were on the road, heading towards the countryside. The journey proved quite long for their young daughter, who had never traveled such a distance. She eventually succumbed to exhaustion and fell asleep in the back seat. The woman stole a quick glance at her slumbering child through the rear-view mirror. As the family continued their journey, the passing scenery revealed recent storms that had left the fields muddy. After about an hour on the road, they entered a wooded area. The woman took a deep breath, savoring the refreshing scent of pine trees and damp leaves. Suddenly, her husband slammed on the brakes, jolting her out of her daydreams and awakening their daughter in the backseat. "I think I just saw something," her husband whispered. The woman's heart raced as she urged him to pull over on the side of the road. Together, they stepped out of the car. The man cautiously approached a clump of fir sprawled across the road, revealing a wounded fox. The fox had not been struck by their car. Someone else had injured it and callously abandoned the injured animal. Tears welled up in the woman's eyes as she reached for her husband's hand. The fox appeared motionless, and they couldn't determine if it was still alive. As they took a few steps closer to the injured creature, they heard a car door opening behind them. Their daughter rushed toward her parents, now wide awake and unable to fall back asleep. The sight of the wounded fox tugged at her heartstrings, and without hesitation, she knelt beside the animal, gently cradling it in her arms. "We have to help it," the little girl declared, her voice steady. Initially, her parents hesitated, uncertain about whether they should intervene. The fox seemed beyond saving. However, their daughter's unwavering determination, combined with her deep compassion for animals, convinced them to act. They expected nothing less from their daughter than to defend an innocent life. Their main concern was how to get help for the injured fox. There was a veterinarian near their home, but the city was nearly 2 hours away. The only viable option was to continue north toward the woman's childhood village. However, she wasn't certain if the village had a veterinarian or even a medical doctor. Nonetheless, the fox's condition was deteriorating rapidly, and time was running out. The father carefully carried the injured creature back to their car, and they resumed their journey. With no other cars on the road, the father took a risk, driving as quickly as he safely could. Periodically, the mother turned around to check on the fox's condition. In the backseat, their young daughter had draped a blanket around the trembling animal, which could barely muster the strength to open its eyes. At one point during the journey, the wounded fox regurgitated on the car seats, but the resilient girl didn't complain. She calmly wiped away the mess with another blanket, embracing the injured creature and soothing it with comforting words. It was a display of maturity that surprised her parents, who had never seen her so composed. Finally, the family reached the entrance of their childhood village. They hurried out of the car, with the father cradling the fox in his arms. The mother sought help from the villagers, but there was no doctor in the village. However, the villagers directed them to a local herbalist, providing detailed instructions. The family soon found the residence of a wise old woman who, upon seeing the fox, immediately instructed the father to place it on the table. After a brief examination, the herbalist explained that the fox was a young male and had been injured by a speeding vehicle. Fortunately, the wound was fresh, and she assured them she could nurse the fox back to health within a couple of days. Grateful for her assistance, the family offered the old woman a generous sum of money as payment, but she politely declined, stating that she was following fate's guidance. She revealed herself as clairvoyant and sensed a deep soul connection between the fox and the daughter. Though skeptical, the couple respected her help and quietly left her home. In due time, the fox made a full recovery, showing no signs of major injury. The family was delighted with the outcome, but they now faced the decision of whether to release the fox back into the wild. While many argued that some animals belonged in the wild, in this case, it seemed more compassionate to allow the fox to live indoors. Once again, the girl managed to persuade her parents, expressing her fear of releasing the fox into the wild, where it would be vulnerable. With some hesitation, her parents agreed to welcome the fox as a member of the family. While her friends owned cats and dogs, this young girl proudly called a fox her pet, her first one. She demonstrated responsibility by consistently applying the herbal medicine the old woman had given them. During their vacation, the family explored the village while the girl spent her time playing with her beloved fox. Upon their return to the city, they were astonished to see how well the fox adapted to urban life. They treated their new pet much like they would a dog. Despite being a wild animal, the fox seemed content going on morning walks with the family and visiting the park. One day, during a family picnic at the park, the fox and the girl ventured into a grassy area where few people were around. Suddenly, the girl let out a piercing scream, causing her parents to rush to her side, fueled by adrenaline. Initially, they struggled to locate her in the tall grass, but the fox's face emerged. It led them to where the girl had been, and their hearts nearly broke at the sight. At the girl's feet lay a motionless snake, bearing bite marks against its green scales. When they looked back at the fox, they noticed some blood around its mouth. The fox had saved the little girl's life, as if his rescue had ultimately saved their child. Since that fateful day, the bond between the fox and the girl has been unbreakable. It became evident that the herbalist had been right all along. The girl and the fox shared a unique, lifelong connection,